More news, more often. Covering the nation and the world. You're waking up with Newsnet Mornings.
Good morning and welcome back. I'm Victoria Idoni with your headlines for your morning. Here's what's happening this Thursday. Leaders are backing up Biden's claim that Russia has committed acts of genocide in Ukraine. Plus, an update on one of the ships that we told you about that's stuck in a U.S. waterway. Those stories and more are ahead, but first. The man wanted in the shooting of 10 people on a subway in Brooklyn was arrested about 30 hours after the attack on a crowded rush hour train. 62-year-old Frank R. James was taken into custody in Manhattan's East Village neighborhood. Law enforcement officials say James called the New York Police Department's tip line to say he was inside a McDonald's restaurant in Manhattan and to tell authorities to come and get him. The federal terrorism charges he's been brought up on relate specifically to mass transit systems and could result in a life sentence. In recent months, James has been outspoken about his experiences with mental health care in New York City, with criticism of Mayor Eric Adams' policies on mental health and subway safety. The specific motive for the attack still remains unclear, although officials say there's no indication that James had any ties to any terror organizations. Strong wind and thunderstorms hit the southeast overnight. The National Weather Service office in Jackson, Mississippi warned that significant severe thunderstorms, winds reaching 70 miles per hour, hail, and strong tornadoes were all possible in central Mississippi. This funnel cloud was caught by a local TV crew in Rankin County, east of Jackson, ahead of nightfall. A Northern California woman has admitted that she faked her own kidnapping more than 5 years ago. Yes. The disappearance of 39-year-old Sherry Papini of Redding set off a 3-week search until she resurfaced on Thanksgiving Day in 2016. But federal prosecutors alleged in early March that she actually was staying with a former boyfriend nearly 600 miles away in Southern California. They said she injured herself to be able to back up her false statements. Her attorney, William Portanova, has said that she signed a plea agreement, but it's yet to be added to the public record. President Biden's claim of genocide being committed in Ukraine has been followed with support. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau echoed Biden's sentiments and said it's absolutely right that the term genocide is being used, given rampant allegations of war crimes and other human rights violations. The U.S. State Department has determined that the Kremlin committed war crimes, which it says already has a high threshold, although legally, genocide itself has not been definitively proven yet.
People typically associate with the idea of genocide as this idea of mass murder, right? But genocide does not only have to be killing. It can be causing serious bodily or mentally harm to members of that group, deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part, imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group, and forcibly transferring children of the group to another group.
President Biden also announced he's sending another $800 million worth of assistance to Ukraine, saying weapons from the West have sustained the country's fight, and we cannot rest now. The package adds helicopters and the first provision of American artillery to the already mounting pile of weaponry. The U.S. has committed $2.6 billion to Ukraine since Russia invaded on February 24th. That's also paid for more than 12,000 weapons designed to defeat armored vehicles, some 1,400 shoulder-fired Stinger missiles to shoot down aircraft, and more than 50 million rounds of ammunition. Dozens of other nations have sent aid as well. As far as the war in Ukraine goes, the impact we've felt as everyday Americans has come from a rise in prices, especially at the gas pump. President Biden's been calling for the cost of a gallon to drop for months now, and we've seen some relief. But filling up still costs a lot more than it did even at the beginning of this year. Now the president has a new pitch to try to help us out. But some worry it may end up costing us more in the long run.
President Joe Biden announced another step in trying to reduce prices at the pump. Gas prices have been soaring for a few months now. Biden wants to expand the availability of biofuels, called E15. The blend can cost 10 cents per gallon less on average at the 2,300 gas stations where it's sold, even though vehicles using E15 get slightly less gas mileage. Regular gas is averaging $4.11 a gallon, compared with $2.86 just 1 year ago, according to AAA. So this latest action will increase the use of homegrown biofuels and reducing dependence on foreign fuels. The Environmental Protection Agency has determined that lifting that restriction during the summer months is not likely to have a major environmental impact, but the EPA is not expected to act until closer to June, when it will determine if a national fuel supply emergency still exists. Reporting for NewsNet, I'm Tolly Anderson.
This morning, Twitter said the company's biggest shareholder, Elon Musk, who currently owns a little more than 9% of its stock, presented an offer to buy the rest. In what he said was his best price and final offer, Musk calculated the company's worth at $54.20 per share. He's been buying more shares pretty much every day for the last 2.5 months. Just a few days ago, he declined an offer Twitter made to put him on its board of directors, on the condition that he not own more than 14.9% of the company's outstanding stock. As part of the offer, the Tesla CEO said he believes the social media outlet has the potential to be the platform for free speech around the globe, which is what the billionaire calls a societal imperative for a functioning democracy. His statement then takes a turn, saying, however, since making my investment, I now realize the company will neither thrive nor serve this societal imperative in its current form. Twitter needs to be transformed as a private company. Sticking to business news, our Andy Hirschfeld has a couple more stories that also go to show the pandemic and its impacts are still being felt.
Masks will remain. The Biden administration will extend the federal mask mandate for airports, airplanes, and transit systems across the country for another 15 days. The mandate was set to expire this upcoming Monday. This is due to the growing number of Omicron subvariant cases. Etsy on strike. Thousands of sellers on the platform will go on strike this week, protesting rising fees. The company recently announced a more than 30% increase. 20,000 sellers joined the movement after a Reddit group organized the protest. In part, sellers put their stores on vacation mode for a week.
The state of Washington is set to receive a settlement of $22.5 million from vape company Juul Labs, in a settlement of a consumer protection case. The September 2020 lawsuit alleges the country's largest e-cigarette company targeted underage consumers and deceived consumers about the addictiveness of its product. The company also agreed to a variety of reforms to prevent underage use and sales. Juul Labs admitted no wrongdoing, however, in settling the case, and called it, quote, another step in our ongoing effort to reset our company and resolve issues from the past. It's the fourth such settlement the company's made with a state over the past year. On the opposite side of the country, in the Chesapeake Bay, south of Baltimore and east of Washington, D.C., workers are removing cargo containers from the Ever Forward, a ship which ran aground last month. They're trying to lighten the load and refloat the vessel, which has been stuck in the bay since March 13th. You may remember this ship is from the same company that bogged down the Suez Canal last year, which was a turning point in supply chain decline. Let's take a look at today's news in health. From the seemingly endless pandemic to the rise in gas and food prices, it's easy to feel stressed out and overwhelmed. If that's not enough, the deadline to file our taxes is on Monday. A psychologist has some tips to help us find some peace of mind.
Being mindful of your diet, and there's a couple things on that front. Eating as healthy as you can. That helps your mood. It changes your mood. Watch substances, and by substances, being mindful that it's not just alcohol, like caffeine, stimulants.
Caffeine and other stimulants can cause irritability and anxiousness. So if you can, it's a good idea to limit your intake, or at least try to cut back. He also recommends regularly getting some exercise and fresh air. It doesn't have to be a strenuous activity. You could combine the two by going for a walk or catching some scenery while riding a bike through the park. And Dr. Sacco reminds us to be mindful of how much time we're spending on social media. It can really impact how we feel without us realizing. Other tips include meditating, journaling, and connecting with family and friends, which goes along with living in the moment. It can be easy to think about everything that's out of our control, both past and present, and that can become a dangerous cycle. He says just focus on what you can get done.
But it is challenging because it's probably more important than ever to have to be intentional about it, because for 2 years, work, family, whatever, everything has been blended because we've been in such close proximity to one another that those boundaries that we counted on being clear have changed.
Could your mental health be a risk factor for dementia? Marty Salt has details on a new study that's linking the two.
Depression can wreak havoc on your emotional health, but a new study from UC San Francisco has found depression can also be damaging to your brain health. The researchers discovered the part of the brain that is essential for your ability to organize and store your memories can be damaged through excess stress hormones and an increase in depression. This finding suggests that depression and mental health declines in young adults can increase their chances of developing a neurodegenerative disease.
If we identify people at high risk for developing dementia in the future, that creates a window of opportunity to intervene.
So, what are ways young people can prevent developing dementia later in life? A new study in the UK has shown that children who eat 5 or more portions of fruit and vegetables a day had the highest scoring mental health values and well-being. Another thing that can help?
Pushing yourself to exercise regularly probably helps with some degree of mood improvement.
Exercise keeps your serotonin levels up, as well as cutting down on excessive drinking and smoking. Reaching out for help with your mental health can not only improve your life, but keep your risk of dementia at bay. I'm Marty Salt reporting.
Following worldwide lockdowns, the psychiatric aspects of neurodegenerative diseases are being recognized as a significant factor in the onset of dementia, due to the prominent link between mental health issues and mental decline. Loneliness and social isolation are also contributing factors. Frank McCaffrey has a few things to give us some feelings of nostalgia today. Let's check out the entertainment report.
Sorry, you were saying something?
DC League of Super Pets, an animated superhero film slated for a late July release, is expected to bring in fans of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Johnson will do voice work as Crypto the Super Dog, who is inseparable best friends with Superman. The movie follows them as they're fighting crime side by side in Metropolis. Comedian Kevin Hart is also doing voice work in the movie.
I'm Nick Friggin! Okay!
And Nicolas Cage is set to be seen in the movies playing Nicolas Cage. His film The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent opens this weekend. It's about a cash-strapped Nicolas Cage agreeing to make a paid appearance at a billionaire superfan's birthday party. But he's really an informant for the CIA, since the billionaire fan is a drug kingpin and gets cast in a Tarantino movie. He's joined by Demi Moore in the film. And that's your entertainment report. I'm Frank McCaffrey.
Stay with us. Weather, sports, and more are headed your way. With your latest headlines, I'm Victoria Idoni. Have a thrilling Thursday.